Welcome, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to give it a moment or so for our room to fill up. If you want to share in the chat something that you're excited about or looking forward to, we would love to know what that is. My name is Jennifer Bangoura, and I'm Nexford University's Director of Career Innovation. And we're really excited to have you here for this webinar today to understand how a Nexford MBA could transform your career path. So if you'll let us know maybe where you're joining from and something that you're excited about or looking forward to in the chat, that would be great. Yesterday, I think, was the longest day of the year for the Northern Hemisphere. So I'm normally based in Malawi in Southern Africa. Today, I'm in Washington, D.C., which is Nexford University's hometown. So the sun is setting around 9:30 here, which is kind of wild. So welcome to everyone who's joining from Lagos. We're happy to have you here and really excited for this webinar. Again, I'm just going to give it another moment. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We would love for this to be as interactive as possible. So if you can please, if you have any questions for me, for our guest, for my colleague who's going to be sharing more about what the actual experience looks like of learning at Nexford, please put those questions in the Q&A. So we have the chat that we'd love for you to use, and also please use that Q&A so we can keep all of our questions in one place. And we'd love to make sure we have time to cover that at the end of the presentation. So welcome to everybody who is sharing where you're joining from, all of our great guests from Nigeria. We're really happy to have you here. And just also, we get this question, you will receive a copy of the recording, a copy of the presentation, and any links or anything that we reference. So if you need to refer back to it, you will be, since you registered for this, you'll be getting a copy of that afterwards. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you signed up for the webinar on an MBA at Nexford, your pathway to a globally competitive career, you're in the right place, and we're really happy that you're here. Here's a brief overview of what we'll cover. We'll do some introductions, talk about what it means to understand the global job market, think about some in-demand skills that we see that research shows that we need to advance in our careers. We're going to have input actually just from our wonderful alumni, Kelly Amogu. We will have an opportunity, well, I clicked over it, that was me, to, again, like I said, hear from my colleague, Mai, who's going to give us, actually, you'll be able to see what it looks like in the platform to go through an Nexford course. And then we will have time for Q&A at the end. So we are really honored to be joined today by Kelly Amogu, who is a manager for marketing and communications with Evercare Hospital in Lagos. And like I said, my name is Jennifer Bangoura, and I'm Nexford University's Director of Career Innovation. Whoops. So moving in, let me just check and make sure we're good. Oh, great. We have wonderful people joining from Guinea. So that's great. And yes, like I said, I'm just looking at the chat, making sure we're staying connected. And we already have really great questions in the chat and the Q&A, so please keep those coming. So first, we wanted to briefly cover what it means to understand the demands of the global job market. So we outlined some of the things here that we know that employers are looking for. So at Nexford, something that we pride ourselves in is ensuring that we have a curriculum and a pedagogical approach and the way that we engage with our learners and alumni that aligns with what industry is looking for. Because we know many people are looking to advance in their careers when they are pursuing a program at Nexford. Learning for the sake of learning is wonderful. And we also know that many people want to make more money. They want more flexibility in the work that they're doing. And so they're advancing in their education so that they can pursue and have those things in their life, whether that's a higher salary, a flexibility in the work that they're doing, and where they're based. So here, one of the top things that is needed, whether you're based in Conakry, whether you're in Lagos, whether you're in Malawi, whether you're in Washington, D.C., where I am today, is this demand for critical thinking and mental flexibility. What does that really mean? Sometimes you see these skills and you're like, but in practice, what does it mean? So, and how does that relate to your program at Nexford? Critical thinking, it's, when you are approached with a problem and a hard situation, are you able to take a step back and think through different alternatives and solutions to get to that final product? And the mental flexibility, when things get a little bit hard, are you able to, again, take a breath? And this is something that comes with practice and over time, but really it's about having that growth mindset. But to have the mental flexibility to think, this was the one solution that we thought was possible, and now we need to find other opportunities and ways to solve the problem. And that's something throughout the Nexford program that we're integrating in your, the assignments that you're doing, the way that you're engaging with the content and curriculum. So next is this, it's not soft skills or hard skills. It's not an either or, it's really a both and. So when we hear soft skills, and now really some people are calling them power skills, which I really appreciate, that is your ability to communicate with people, with your colleagues, with your clients, with the world around you, right? How are you presenting yourself to people? And then the hard skills being more what we would consider the technical skills. So whether that's coding, Python, SQL, or, being comfortable navigating whatever systems your company is using, Microsoft Office, your Excel, Google Drive, and not saying that you know how to use it, but actually being truly competent in those skills. It's quite critical. And next, we know that with the global job market, the way that, when we look at population demographics, where populations are growing, where they're shrinking, there's going to continue to be a demand for labor in countries where populations are shrinking. And companies are based there, they're going to start to have to look elsewhere. We're already seeing this, certainly with software engineers and people who are on technical tracks, which we do offer at Nexford, that your capacity and your skills are going to be more important than your location and where you're based and your background. We see here too, things around the T-shaped employee. And so this previously, we see T-shaped, you also will hear about the M-shaped. So this is when you have your specialization in whatever topic it is. So maybe you're an accountant. So you really deeply specialize in what it means to be an accountant. That's this part of your T. And then you have this the top part of your T, which are the soft skills and what we'd also call your transferable skills. Again, that's your ability to engage with other people, to quickly connect the dots between different departments, to influence others, to take your idea and get other people on board with it. So we're seeing actually moving from a T-shaped employee to what we would say is an M-shaped, which is where you have multiple specializations throughout your life. So it's rare, it's very rare now to see somebody who starts one career and then that's what they're going to do for the next 30 years, right? Maybe we saw this with our parents where they were in whatever industry it was, and then they did that for their entire lives, whether it was being a blacksmith, which my grandfather, my father-in-law, a lawyer, a doctor. Now, you might see people who do that, and they're going to need to continue to upskill throughout. And so adding on different skills to understand the shifting nature of the job market, of the world around us. And I think it's very interesting when you look at many of our Nexford alumni. I think of this one woman who is a lawyer, and she joined Nexford to do her MBA because she was starting to get clients who were asking about, how does artificial intelligence impact my business? How does sustainability and different, requirements around that impact the work that we're doing? So she joined Nexford to be a little bit more fluent in some of the things that her clients were looking for, things like that. And then we have here, written out the sixth sense of leadership. So this is, I think, too, an idea around, sometimes people think being a leader is attached to a certain title or a certain inflection point in your career. Oh, when I become a vice president, when I become, a certain level. And I'm sure you see this when you look around you, that actually it's not a certain title or a certain level in a career that makes people be a good leader. People want to follow or be connected to other people who have certain attributes around them, who are able to inspire and influence others. And it's not necessarily connected to a title, again. And these are things that are integrated throughout our curriculum and your assignments, to make sure that you're seeing either case studies or building out examples of your own on where you're seeing this in your life. So here, thinking about in-demand skills, and let me just take a moment and make sure, okay, great. I'll just say again, everyone will get a copy of this, of the presentation after, and thank you to everyone who is adding your questions to the Q&A. It's great to see those. So transitioning now to the in-demand skills, how do you position yourself for the global workforce? It really is critical to find alignment between your skills and what employers are looking for in 2023 and beyond. And so there are a lot of different really great reports out there. And we do our own, first our own primary research at Nexford in terms of building relationships with employer partners in the markets where we're growing. Right now, that would be Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, to really understand what are employers looking for in the markets where our learners are. And we have learners around the world. So we are constantly having conversations with employers, and I would say what you would call like channel partnerships. So in Kenya recently, we've connected with the Federation of Kenya Employers, who are an association of hundreds of Kenyan employers, to really understand what skills do you need today and in the next coming 6 months to a year, so we can reverse engineer and make sure that our curriculum and our offerings have those skills embedded within. So what we've seen here, we've listed out some of those in-demand skills around financial management, marketing, digital transformation, product growth. Also, we see this increasing need for self-awareness and the ability to look within and understand, are my skills that I think I have actually the skills that other people perceive me to have and that I do have? That's incredibly, I would say, like an overlooked but important skill that we all need to continue to ask ourselves. What do I know? What don't I know? And understanding, have these different levels of conscious competence, conscious incompetence, being like, I know these are the things that I'm not aware of, and so I want to get better at them. You have unconscious incompetence. Those are people who don't know that they are not good at things, and they also don't admit to not being good at them. So again, these are things that it's really difficult to learn without experiential learning, and to be aware again of the things that we don't know. That's what we get excited about at Nexford, to bring to the table the things that we know we all should need to know and embed them within the curriculum throughout. Some more skills listed out here around agility, a deliberate approach to innovation and creativity, being able to analyze large groups of information, having that critical thinking that we mentioned a few slides ago. And again, the leadership skill that comes up, being able to lead yourself, your team, and lead, moving into your entire organization and working with other people. So here, we have with our Nexford MBA, this mix of really a lot of what you need to succeed in your career on a global scale. So in terms of what you can specialize in, here are a few of those things. And again, like I said, we're continuing to have conversations with employers to understand what is coming next. So, our CEO and our curriculum team are constantly meeting with companies to think, how can we create new offerings, new programs to embed within our MBA or to be a standalone offering that are going to respond to what is needed in the market today? So right now, we're at things I'm sure you're hearing about: climate jobs, sustainability, renewables. Those are things that we know are really important. Food security, and doing business across the world. No longer it's very rare, that people are creating businesses that are exclusively contained within the borders of your country. Many people's companies are either regional or already going global. So it's really important to understand we have a specialization in that of doing business across the world. E-commerce, AI, robotics and automation, and then managing hyperconnectivity are just some of our specializations that we currently offer. And again, like I've said, you'll probably get tired of me saying it, so maybe this will be the last time, but really keeping a focus on, and this is what we think is a big differentiator for Nexford, understanding what employers are looking for. We have a partnerships team who are continually reaching out and connecting with employer partners, again, throughout Nigeria, throughout sub-Saharan Africa, in Kenya, and globally, to build relationships so that employers recognize Nexford and who we are as a university, and also to inform our curriculum and make sure that when someone says they're looking for employees with certain skills, that we're able to deliver that, and that our learners and alumni are equipped with those tools and skills. And then building a global network. Like I said before, I'm originally from the United States and from Washington, D.C., where Nexford University is based. Normally, I'm living in Malawi in Southern Africa. Of course, we have many learners and alumni in Nigeria. But what's really thrilling, and I love to go on LinkedIn and look, every day, every month, our learner base is expanding globally. So I know learners in Malawi personally who are pursuing a degree. Of course, we have many who are starting in Kenya. So you really are building a truly global network of learners and alumni. And I can tell you from experience, who you're associating with in your alumni networks can really transform the path of your career. You think about when you start a new project and who you're working with, and to understand a new market, and to be able to have somebody who is connected to your university and your alumni network in a different country. You could call, WhatsApp message to understand the experience. It's really invaluable. And it's I would say, a long-term strategy when people are considering where to invest their time and money in their education. So we are so excited to have one of our alumni with us today, Kelly Amogu. Like I said, she's a manager for marketing and communications with Evercase Hospital in Lekki in Lagos. And Kelly, if you would like to come on video, we can sort of have an informal Q&A and, to learn more about what brought you to Nexford. What are you doing now in your work as a manager at Evercase Hospital, and how your Nexford degree has influenced the work that you're doing? And I'd also love to hear more about what's in your, doesn't have to be your 5-year plan, but what do you see as how you're growing? So I will turn it over, could you just tell us about yourself, who you are, and what brought you to Nexford, and then I can keep an eye on the Q&A, and I'll ask questions to keep us going.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. So I'll just say very quickly that I mean, my background is in communication. So when I graduated with my first degree, I knew that I wanted to get like, additional education. I wanted to further my education, but I just didn't know when, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So, I have my degree in communications. I was working, and after a while, like I would get, professional certifications. I was one of the first trainers for like digital marketing, because I wanted to keep doing things that were like sort of like in line with my career. I wasn't completely sure about getting an MBA, and I just didn't want to get it because everyone was getting it, right? So I was doing like a lot of professional courses and certifications, things that were in line with marketing, locally and internationally. But the more I progressed with my career, in terms of my role growth, leadership positions, there are certain things that, I had knowledge about it, just because I had experience, in my career, but I didn't have like in-depth knowledge. And so I was like, okay, now I see why people have MBAs. It sort of like gives you like an in-depth understanding about the business as a whole. You're able to take more critical decisions. You're able to contribute more in terms of, making leadership decisions. And so I was like, okay, so now that I do know that I want to get an MBA, and this was after like, I've been working since 2010, 2011. So this is more than 10 years, working. And I was like, okay, I'm finally ready. Now my challenge was, I now know that I want to get an MBA, but where am I going to get it? Because I didn't want anything that would take me away from my family, one, and away from my work. So it was kind of a, tough decision to make, because I did still want to be actively working. I didn't want to take, leave from work and then come back and I'm sort of in limbo, right? So I did a little bit of research, and I spoke to someone who was like, why don't you try out NXU? And I was like, oh, I've never heard of them. And, yeah, that's how that happened. So for me, when I looked through the program, the first thing that stuck out to me was its flexibility. Now, when I started the program, it's so funny because the month when I did the research, I was in a different job. When I was ready to start my program with Nexford, I was in a different job. So, just imagine starting a new role and then starting new education all at the same time. It was such a crazy period for me. And my current job now, what I do is marketing and communications. And so at the time, the hospital hadn't opened. So I was I was directly responsible for like planning the launch of the hospital, and it's a new hospital and it's a big hospital. And it's like first of its kind in Lagos, because it's multi-specialty. It's a tertiary care hospital, and the biggest private hospital in Lagos right now. The only other biggest ones are the public sector hospitals. So just imagine, juggling all of that and then having to figure out and navigate my way through all of these courses. So when I was doing that, it was a lot. And because I had a communications background, I had to take foundation courses in business, so that was like 6 months of, I felt like I was I was getting my BSc all over again. It was a lot. But one thing I would say for me was I had a great success advisor. I think her name was Christine. She was super helpful. I would message her and be like, I don't know what this course is saying. I don't understand what's happening. And she would just, sort of like guide me through the process. Doing that, I had all these deadlines to meet for school. I also had deadlines at work. So most times I would be, just doing this. So after, when I get off work, then I go to school, sort of, but I love the flexibility that, I was able to do that with, because not many platforms, not many schools are that flexible. in terms of timing. And don't also forget there's the time zone factor. So, there's a lot to sort of like figure out, but I would say that if you are sort of ready to take on that, because it's a bit to take on, but if you make up your mind, took me about 2 months to sort of just say, you know what, I'm ready to actually do this. But in a nutshell, that's sort of what led me to Nexford.
Wow, how incredible. I always am just like, wow, everybody, I hope everyone's giving a digital and physical round of applause to Kelly, because it's such a commitment to decide. And I can tell you spent over 10 years deciding. I'm really thinking about and being thoughtful about where and how you were going to take the next step in your education to continue to advance in your career. I think that's something else that is underappreciated maybe in higher education and graduate degrees is surrounding yourself with a cohort of people. I think many people like you who have already had work experience and who can really contribute other things to your fellow, learners and alumni, because you have like that firsthand experience. And so I think we have a mix of that. We have people who are, wanting to do an MBA right after undergrad, but then others who have taken their time and that we can all, continue to learn from. So what was that like? I mean, were you able, when you transferred to that new job, did you feel like you were able to apply right away what you were learning into your new role? And did you see any of that overlap?
So trick question. So because I was sort of navigating, so I think the first part of the first part of Nexford for me, it was almost like a blur. I'm going to be very honest, because I felt like I wasn't applying yet. And that's because I feel like I was still trying to like find my footing, with all of the assignments. I think I was taking it a bit too theoretically, I just wanted to get it done, right? But as time went by and I sort of like had a schedule, so I had, my timings figured out, time zones, assignment submissions, I found more free time to do more reading. And, and this was after like, I would say at least 8 months, in addition to my foundation period. So when I found my rhythm, I sort of like was now able to sort of like apply. There were certain courses that were like Greek to me when I first started out, especially, the finance part of things, trying to understand, spreadsheet, the balance sheet, it was a lot. But I was able to then apply these things to my day-to-day because in planning, for the launch, there's so many moving parts. And that came to play with, budgeting, understanding how that works, understanding how to sort of like plan. So in the end, I was able to apply the things that I had learned theoretically, into my daily life. Another thing I want to add is it then gave me some sort of insights. Even though I'm not I'm not this business owner. It sort of made me think like a business owner, because you then become like an entrepreneur where you're able to understand how all of the decisions that you make impacts the different departments that you have and the difference, before I was in a silo, when you're making a marketing decision, you just think marketing, you're just thinking about what benefits you and your department. But when you have this sort of like almost like global thinking, it then makes you understand that, the decisions you make regarding your marketing budget will impact operations, will impact, capital, will impact every other aspect of the business. So I definitely was able to sort of like use that to my advantage. So yes, in the end, I did.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of having structured learning, like what you get when you enroll with your MBA at Nexford, is sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and then you start learning it and you're like, oh, I'm seeing how I can be a more thoughtful colleague to other people. But it's hard to pinpoint even at what point, those connections start to happen. And I do think, I'll say as a staff, at Nexford, one of the things I appreciate most about our people who are supporting our Nexford learners is we're from all over. And so we all, we have a really like broad depth of experience, like globally and then of course professionally, to really try and understand what do our learners need in Nigeria, what do they need in Guinea, what do they need in Kenya, and how can we help them connect the dots for like their careers locally, but also globally. And then of course, responding to your needs as a learner while you're in the program as well. And being, I think, respectful and appreciative of the different lived experiences that our learners have. I think it's super important, at least from what I can tell from my colleagues. This is great. And so is there anything else? I think I'm looking at the time and I want to make sure we have enough time for Q&A and our presentation with
Okay.
when you think about now, okay, you have your MBA, do you feel like it's making a difference in your ability to advance in your career of having the credential and like that it's going to influence your ability to achieve certain promotions or certain opportunities?
Yeah. So let me say that I finished my program March 2023. So I'm a baby graduate. But what I would say is, so during like at the later part of my program, right, there were some specialized courses that I decided to take. And I was very intentional about it. So I think there was one on corporate sustainability, renewable energy, and I think I did one that had to do with like global business. I was very intentional about that because for me, I'm looking for more ways to sort of like expand my scope and sort of like expand my technical capabilities because I'm also trying to do more. So even in terms of like career advancement, like I'm looking for the next thing to take under my scope, even in my current place of work, excuse me. So that's, corporate sustainability is always something that I've been very curious about. But because I didn't have any experience, work-wise and school-wise, it was just always something I shied away from. I mean, I would do it from time to time, but I didn't do it with confidence. So now that I have this, I'm like, okay, this is something that I now understand, and I'm sort of like looking forward to seeing how I'm able to apply all of these things that I've learned, in my day-to-day. So it definitely has helped in terms of like career advancement. Career advancement isn't always moving from job to job. You can definitely advance even in your current place of work, which is what I'm now doing. So definitely it has helped.
That's great. And sometimes, with our careers, it's a chicken and an egg. Like sometimes you can't get that corporate social responsibility job until you've done the work, but then you can't do the work until you've done the schooling. So it's like people do take different paths to get to the same, ultimate role,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And so it's exciting to see the way that you're thinking around, understanding the foundational aspects of it and education space, and then also applying it and seeing how you can deepen your experience and expertise through your work and sort of the blend of the two.
Yeah.
And we have, okay, great. I wonder, so, wow, so you just finished in March of 2023. So the world is your oyster. I wonder too, like, what are you doing with all your free time now that you're not?
Oh my God, it's so much free time. Like I literally was saying this to my friends. I was like, oh my God, because I never used to have enough time, honestly. Like this past 2 years, like it was always something. Like it was like a presentation or I had a paper to finish or I was doing some research. Like it was always something. And since March, it's almost like I'm on holiday. I just go to work and I can do whatever I want after work. So it's been great. I'm enjoying my free time until I pick up something else to fill up my time. But yeah, I love my free time now.
That's great. That's usually what we hear too, and
Yeah.
I've been there, so I can appreciate it. But keeping your eye, I think we talk a lot about having that intrinsic motivation to help learners get through the program. When you have a goal at the end of like, here's what I'm working toward, it's a lot easier to continue to persist through the program,
Yeah.
and feel like it's really worth it to put in that time and effort, because it is, in the end, it really will be. And there's nothing that feels better than graduating and being done and looking back and saying, wow,
Yes.
I did
With
that.
good
And it's
grades too.
not easy. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I definitely agree with that. I think also for me, I just didn't want to like graduate to just be like, oh yeah, now I have it, whatever. I actually wanted to learn something. I actually wanted to graduate with good grades, because I think then, what's the point of waiting this long if you're just gonna like do it and not get anything out of it? I could have done it, right after my undergrad. So I think for me, I was really intentional about, finally saying, okay, yes, I'm ready to actually get this done. And I had a reason. So I had motivation, especially when it had to do with work. I had a reason to want to learn all these things. I had a reason to want to succeed, excel, and practice all of these things. So, the drive has to be there is what I'll say, because there will be tough days, there will be tough weeks. There will be tough feedback that you don't even understand sometimes and you're trying to figure it out. So if you don't have like, the motivation to just, keep going, it could get hard. So that definitely helps.
Yeah, and that's something that it sounds like, we certainly are trying to be intentional about at Nexford, of having a really strong support system embedded, with our success advisors. Of course, I know there is no one that responds faster than a Nexford alumni in this WhatsApp alumni chat when someone's like, I need this or this help for that, and the support that you can get from one another, I find really incredible. Kelly, you are amazing. And again, I hope, please, can everyone give her a round of applause. I'm giving a physical, digital. We are so proud of you, and it really is remarkable, everything that you've accomplished. And to know that you started your program when you were starting a new job is like, that's a lot. So thank you so much for making the time to be here. We're going to move over, and everyone's proud. We're all proud of you. We want to see, I think something that a lot of people are really curious about is like, what does the actual learning experience look like at Nexford? So we can hear, it's incredible to hear from our learners and alumni. And I really value what we're going to have next. My colleague Mai is going to come on and actually share with us what the learning experience in Canvas, which is our learning management system, what it looks like, so that you can see for yourself. And oh, I'm sorry, great. So Kelly, if you're able to stay on in a bit, maybe we can, Maya, before you come on, I can just ask this one question that came up, that is just for you, Kelly. It says,
Okay.
how are you able to manage the assignments along with your workloads? Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, I really don't know, because it was a lot. And it was like back to back to back. Like, I think I used to have dreams about those assignments, because, you don't want to fail, because, you get penalized when you turn it late, So what I used to do was, go through the course, and for every assignment, the key is actually starting on time. And I know that, for me personally, I'm a procrastinator. So, initially it worked for me because, I used to get away with it, I would turn in my assignments, 2 seconds to when it's due. But after a while, I just felt like it wasn't allowing me putting like 100%, because of course you're rushing, you're not doing enough research, and that takes time. I mentioned initially when I started, I hadn't found my rhythm, so I was always rushing because I'm in between work, because obviously I have deliverables at work, and that sort of comes first. But when I found my footing and I found the timings that worked for me, I used to start my assignments at least 2 weeks before. I already have like a base, I put down my points, I've done my research, I have the links that I want to like sort of do my readings from, and that sort of like helps me. So the week when it's due, I'm basically just putting like finishing touches and just like reading through, proofreading. And that's what, that's sort of what has helped me, or what helped me, turning my assignments, because it does get a lot, And another thing that I used to do was I always used to ask, especially for the difficult courses, for me, I used to ask my professors for feedback. So one thing I also realized is people interpret things in different ways. When it comes to like assignments and writing papers, the way I would interpret it is different from how someone else would. So what I used to do was I always used to ask my professors for feedback, especially with things that I wasn't clear. I'll mail them, and they're very responsive. So, I'll mail them. Just don't mail them too close to when the thing is actually due, so you have time to actually implement the feedback that they give you. But yeah, they're very responsive. And, I ask my questions and say, okay, do I need to do this, or do this? And, that's sort of like how I've been able to, structure that. So
That's like incredible
my 2
life
cents.
skill, time management. And I do think there's nothing like education programs to force you to rethink your time management and blocking out your time. And this is something too that I think some of our Nexford learners work with their success advisors on, to ensure that they are either, letting people around them know, I hate family, friends, I need you to enable me positively to like not try and get me to go out, but encourage me to stay at home to work on my assignments. Or some people say, I'm blocking out Saturday morning and Sunday evening to focus on work. Other people are able to put in certain hours in the morning or evening, or maybe on their lunch break. So that's a great question. And I think too, whoever asked it, I'm sorry, I think it was Austin. We are having a more in-depth virtual tour next week that will be leading with one of our faculty members as well. And so you can continue to ask these really good questions about the experience there. But Kelly, thank you so much again. And
Thank you,
really wonderful
Jennifer.
to connect with you here. And I'm looking forward to staying in touch and watching your continued success in your
Thank
career.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Absolutely. Thank you, Samuel, for connecting us with Kelly. And we're going to have you come on now and give us this wonderful tour of our learner experience. So thank you, Mai. I'll turn it over to you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Jennifer and Kelly. You're amazing. I super enjoyed also hearing your learning experience. So I'd love to show everyone now also just how exactly the online platform looks like. So, this can give you an insight on the kind of learning experience that Kelly herself has had as well. So just to introduce myself, though, my name is Mai, and I'm a senior Nexford application specialist, and I've been with Nexford for almost 4 years now. And so I do a lot of these virtual tours. As Jennifer mentioned, there's going to be a larger one on the 27th. It's going to run for about an hour. We're going to have a professor with us. We're going to have 2 Nexford learners. So if you're keen to learn more, aside from the sort of sneak peek I'll be giving everybody today, please join that one as well. Having said that, I will start sharing my screen. All right, for the lovely participants that we have today, if you could just, with a show of hands, maybe just confirm for me that everybody can see my screen before we get started. All right, thank you, Precious. I see 5 participants and more. All right, Danielle, Vincent, Ada, thank you so much. All right, we can get started. So what everyone's currently looking at is the main dashboard of the online learning platform at Nexford. So the learning management system we use is called Canvas. And this platform is also used by Ivy League universities. Of course, you need a PC or a laptop to do your assignments, to work on your projects, to do your learning, preferable, of course, to have a desktop. But there is also a mobile application that everybody can download that is called Canvas Student. This is the icon for that application. You don't have to be an Android user. Of course, you can download it on your iPhone as well. So it's called Canvas Student. And while you can access your online learning, please note that you're not going to be able to do this until you get enrolled at Nexford. So you have to first apply and then get enrolled, and then you'll be able to have your login credentials or your login information so that you can log into your online program. Of course, it's going to be, you know, donned in Nexford's colors of black, yellow, and white. So it's going to look different than this as well. But the great thing is that you can study on the go on the application. You can access your program. You can check your grades. You can speak with faculty or learners and so on. But for proctored assessments, for example, or for certain projects or assignments, it is much easier to do it on the, of course, on a PC or a laptop. And for the proctored assessments, it's actually required that you have a PC or a laptop. So I cannot stress this enough because we get that question a few times. And unfortunately, you cannot fully study on Nexford on the mobile application, but you can do it on both. So I'm on the main dashboard again here, and I want to explain to everyone what these boxes represent. So they represent either courses that you're enrolled in, or the NXU orientation, which I'll get to shortly, or a resource you always have access to, which is something like the Writing Lab. Sorry, I accidentally clicked on that. Yeah, let's go back to the main dashboard here. So the NXU orientation, NXU, by the way, stands for Nexford University. And the orientation is sort of your welcome package once you get enrolled at Nexford. So you're going to be required to complete this orientation before you start your official Nexford program. So I want to show you how that is designed in comparison to other standard Nexford courses. So every Nexford course is designed in the same way, in that it has 6 modules you need to complete as well as a final project. Also in the inside, you're going to find it has the same table of contents, and it's going to have a course syllabus, which you can check out. You can click that for every Nexford course. So it's going to give you some key course information, which is super useful for you before you even get started with the course. It tells you how long the course takes, how many course credits you're going to be receiving, a little course description, of course, and what skills and competencies you are expected to learn upon completion of this course. You'll learn all about the course outline, of course, which modules are included in that, how you're going to be graded, and what type of other assistance you can receive. So that's just some key course information. And then here you have sort of just a description of every section of the table of contents, right? But if you jump to the module section right here, I'm going to show you what I mean about the 6 modules. So you're going to find module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? And you're going to find the final project at the bottom. So just, keep this in mind, and then I'll show you the orientation right now. See, it's much shorter, right? The table of contents are not that many, and the modules are including just 3 modules. Sorry, the module section, will only have 3 modules. So you're not going to be graded for the orientation, but it's just a little course to provide you with all the information that you need before you get started. So it's going to teach you how to navigate through the online platform, how you can reach out for support. You're going to learn all about, grading and the university policies and so much more. So I'm going to jump right into the introduction part of the orientation. This is where it is. If you want to be able to open it in a new tab, that is an option also. This is sort of a minimized view of it, I would say. So you've got the option, if you open it in a new tab, it's going to be a bigger view for those who would rather see it in the big screen, sort of. Right. But let's go back here. So from the beginning, you're going to see there is a welcome video from our founder and our CEO, Fadil Tarzi. All right, and I'm going to just play this for you guys for a few seconds.
It's been said that the future is a convenient place for dreams, so why not dream big? I've always known education changes lives, but I first realized its impact over a decade ago. On my entrepreneurial journey, I saw a gap between the skills of college graduates and the needs of employers. With my own startups, I struggled to find people with the right competencies and find a software engineer with effective communication skills.
Hopefully you can watch it in its entirety once you get enrolled at Nexford. But I just want to say, sorry guys, I'm getting a note here that my internet connection. I hope I didn't cut out. If everybody can just confirm that they can still see me or they can still hear me. All right, I'm breaking up. I apologize for that, guys. I think the internet just, all right, Jennifer, you can hear me now. Okay, fantastic. All right. Okay, I will continue. Thanks, Jennifer. All right. So yeah, I just want to say that this video right here, guys, I hope you were able to hear it just fine. But it's just a small example of the different and dynamic elements through which we're going to be doing your studying at Nexford. So it's not just going to be a lot of text. We don't want our learners falling asleep. You're going to find videos like these. You can find audio clips that are embedded. You'll find links to, outside resources or perhaps a playlist of videos that you need to see. It can be a YouTube video. It can be so much more. So there's always something to keep you engaged. And I hope I get a chance to show you guys that today. So as you progress through the NXU orientation, we tell you about some things you can join from the beginning that can really help you with your learning journey, such as these NXU learning communities, which are led by other Nexford learners who are also experts in certain industries and fields. So if you're into entrepreneurship, for example, I would recommend you join this one. If instead you're into finance, HR, or marketing, then you can join those learning communities instead. And then, of course, we have learner WhatsApp groups. So it's super useful to have a study buddy from the beginning of your program. We have a ton of WhatsApp groups from around the world. And this is because we have, thousands of learners from over 100 countries around the world right now. So you can find WhatsApp groups that are either country-specific, program-specific, or intake-specific. And it happens sometimes that these WhatsApp groups can get super full, that you're unable to join a specific WhatsApp group. The great thing is that we allow you the option to create your own WhatsApp group, and our learner success team are going to help you share that with other learners so they can join you as well. So there's always like a WhatsApp group to join. So I don't want you to worry about that. You can even, speak with peer mentors. There's so much a lot of support you can get from the beginning, and you'll learn all about that in the NXU orientation. So we'll tell you more about the different offerings, the different benefits that you get, and then you jump into the University Starter Kit, where we tell you more about, how the courses are ordered, how you can take more than one course at the same time and finish faster. If you ever need to take a break from your program, we call that a leave of absence, and it's definitely doable. So if you're taking our MBA, then you can take a break for up to 4 months. If you're taking our BBA degree program, then you can take a break for up to 8 months. If ever you need more time, that is of course up to the approval of our success team, but it's definitely something you can share with them, and it depends on these circumstances. And of course, you'll learn about all the different deadlines for participation and assessment and assignments and so on. So that is the orientation for you guys. Hopefully you can watch it in its entirety. And here it tells you also, what tools you're going to be needing to download. That's kind of outside of the online platform. And in this case, it's only Microsoft 365 and all its tools, which you get access to. You get a free license as a Nexford learner. And then finally, here we tell you about the types of support you receive as a Nexford learner, one of which is, of course, is through the success advisors. And I know Kelly mentioned this today. So success advisors really will reach out to you before you even think of reaching out to them often, because they are literally there to make sure that you succeed. So they can help you with anything throughout your learning journey. They'll help you with goal setting, with, figuring out your courses and how to figure out your schedule and so much more. So there's 24/7 support from success advisors. We have a lot of success advisors from around the world, and that means you can literally reach out to any success advisor at any time. And then, of course, professors also, aside from success advisors, with course professors, with both of them, really, you can also arrange a call if you need to have some sort of consultation with them. That is something you can set up at any time. And then we have a writing coach. So I want to jump to the writing lab, which is something I mentioned earlier in the main dashboard. So we'll go back to the main dashboard here, and you'll see that the writing lab is right there, and it is something that you don't complete and then it goes away. It's always going to be there in your dashboard because it's a resource you always have access to. When you click on the writing lab, it takes you here, and you'll see what the writing lab is all about. Is that, of course, we know that not everyone's a natural born writer, and for the types of assignments you're going to be required to do at Nexford, you may be needing to use some formatting you never used before, such as APA formatting. So you're going to learn how to use that. This is an area that can help you with your English skills and with your academic writing. There's a module section with a couple of papers that can give you some tips and tricks on writing and style guide and so on. We even have a couple of videos on English grammar and paragraph structure and so on. And then we have a couple of frequently asked questions, but if your question is still not answered here, you can go ahead and schedule a one-on-one session with our writing lab coach, Caroline Fernandez. If you go back to the homepage of the writing lab and you scroll to the bottom, You'll see a little biography for Caroline right here and a booking link where you can book a one-on-one session with her where she can, help you with any writing related questions that you have. So just pick a date that suits you and a timing, put in your info and book. And it's that easy to have booked a 30-minute call with Caroline in relation to writing, of course. All right, back to the main dashboard here. I think I can just quickly show you guys the inbox, which is one of the easiest ways you can communicate with anybody. So you receive in your inbox, by the way, also announcements from faculty members such as Caroline. So when I discussed the writing lab, I discussed a one-on-one session with her, right? But she also holds these drop-in sessions weekly with learners from all around the world. So it can be joined by up to 100 learners at a time. You may want to join these drop-in sessions instead if you want to, get the opportunity to meet other learners from around the world. And the great thing is Caroline will often announce pre-hand what topics she's going to be covering in these drop-in sessions. There can be a PowerPoint presentation, it can get recorded, so you can watch a playback. So I think they're super beneficial as well. So aside from receiving messages in your inbox, of course, from faculty and other announcements, you can compose a new message this easily. So just pick a course that you're enrolled in, for example, leadership and organizational development. You can pick a course. Do you want to speak with a student or a teacher? Let's say you want to speak with a student named Abigail, put in your subject and your message and send. And it is that easy to send a message to anybody in our global learner community. All right, I know we're running out of time here, so I'm trying to see what is you guys can also request maybe what area you'd like to see next, but I just want to mention quickly that the calendar also, you'll have items in your calendar or events or reminders added in your calendar automatically depending on what you are already enrolled in. So for example, you can even change your view by removing something from the calendar if you want to filter it, but you can click anywhere and just add your own event, add your own to-do item. And of course, the calendar can be synchronized with your PC or your laptop or your mobile phone. So that way you never miss out on any important reminders for assignments and otherwise. There's so much to unravel here, guys. So if you guys want to see more, of course, I recommend you join the big sort of virtual tour towards the end of the month. That should be on the 27th. But I think I can just give a quick overview of our different career services and how we help you with your career. So of course, there's LinkedIn Learning. So as a Nexford learner, you also get unlimited access to over 16,000 LinkedIn Learning courses and videos that cover so many different topics, of course, around the world. So it really depends on what you're interested in. It does not have to be related to the Nexford program that you're studying. You have the complete liberty, of course, to study anything that you like. But it's important to mention that we will often include in your courses, for example, in the modules, if we find that a certain module is related to a certain LinkedIn Learning course, we'll add it for you there under Expand and to tell you that you can take this LinkedIn Learning course and it's related to this module in case you want to do some additional learning. And the great thing is, of course, upon completion of any LinkedIn Learning course, you do receive a certificate of completion, which you can add to your CV or your resume. And it can show, of course, your employer or your community that you're learning on the go. You're not just waiting to complete your Nexford program. You're also learning additional skills and certificates on the side. So anybody can go to our career page on our website, so /nexford.org/career to learn more about how exactly we help you with your career during your Nexford program and even after you graduate. So one of the many ways is through LinkedIn Learning, which I've already mentioned, of course. And if you're based in Africa, which I know some of you in the call today are, so the great thing is that you can also have access to IBM Digital Nation Africa. Sorry, it's just not loading up properly here, guys, so I'll just refresh that. Yeah, there we go. So this is for more tech-related courses. If you're more into, I would say technology, programming, AI, cybersecurity, and so on, then this is the place for you. And then we also have Localize, one of our many different offerings. So it's a great platform where you can create a profile for yourself. You can get connected with career coaches and mentors around the world. You can even join virtual job fairs. So you guys can check it out at localize.world, but you can also check it out on our career page by just watching the demo for Localized. And then in addition to those, we have the Global Grid. So if you haven't heard of that, you can also discover more about it on our website. So the Global Grid is a mentorship program. And it's an initiative that we launched to enable talent around the world to prepare for remote jobs. So you'll find that there are webinars, from the Global Grid that can be joined by anyone. If you're already in our, in our mailing list, or if you're checking out our events page, you can join those. But then, of course, we have these mentorship sessions that are exclusive to Nexford learners. And you'll find that our mentors come from all around the world. They were handpicked for their industry expertise, and they work in top companies like Samsung and Coca-Cola. And then finally, we have Forage. So Forage also is one of those things you're going to find that we suggest for you within certain courses, right? So Forage is a virtual work experience program, and here we're suggesting you take this one. So it is a free resource, to begin with, but the great thing that having partnered up with them is, the fact that we can suggest for you certain virtual work experience programs that you can take. You'll see that they're at actual real companies like JP Morgan and Accenture. It can complement your learning as you get to apply the skills that you learn, and you can choose to actually share your task submissions with recruiters, which can lead to interview opportunities for internships. So that is just some of the many different career services that we offer. Guys, I think I might have gone overboard. I get too excited talking about the online learning experience at Nexford, and there's really too much to unravel. But I hope there's still some time for Q&A, Jennifer, and I haven't gone too much, over time here. But thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you so much, Mai. That's really helpful, and I think gives a really great insight into what the actual learning experience is like from the technical perspective. So we have some questions here in the Q&A, which are great. The first one being around, is Nexford internationally accredited? So this is where it's really great for us all to understand some of the foundational aspects of accreditation. Many universities are accredited in their university of the country where they are based. So Nexford University is accredited by DEAC. And so I encourage you to go look on our website and you can check out our accreditation information. So we're really proud that that happened this year, in January. And so now, yes, our degrees are accredited in the United States by DEAC. We do have other accreditations, so I'll encourage you to look at that website, and maybe one of my colleagues can put a link to that accreditation in the chat. We do not currently offer PhD programs or DBA programs, but we do have learners who have gone on to pursue PhDs or DBAs following their Nexford programs. So someone wants to, yes, that's two people asked that question. So you can go ahead and, yes, you are able to pursue a PhD or DBA following your program. Someone asks about timing. So Nexford, something that also differentiates Nexford, and again, I really encourage you to come join our virtual tour next week if you really want more in-depth information about the specifics into the Nexford programs. But around timing is that we do our courses and offerings start on the 1st of every month. So you're not waiting for a January or a September start, but rather you can start, July 1st, August 1st, September 1st, and it's a subscription-based model. So you do pay monthly, and someone else asked about taking time off. We do have people who go on LOA, leave of absence, and then who are able to pick back up when they're ready to start their studies again. And so the time, we call it flexibly paced. So you are able to complete the program, as quickly or as, and with as much time as you need based on the, different, demands on your schedule, which, are different for everybody. And so I think for these questions around global ranking, grading, structure of assessments and grading, I am going to turn you to our virtual tour next week so you can get into the details around that, because they will be able to cover those there. And we will share the recording of this in our follow-up email and a copy of this presentation. So that is, we are a little over time. I'm Jennifer Bangoura. I'm Nexford University's Director of Career Innovation. thrilled to be here with you all today. Big thanks to my colleagues, Samuel, Roshan, Mai, for making the time and bringing all of this, bringing everyone together. Of course, to Kelly, our alumni who shared her experience. I just soak it up and love hearing about why people decided to study at Nexford, what brought them here. So thank you to everyone who made the time to join. We'll look forward to seeing you on the internet and hopefully enrolling in Nexford, maybe starting next month. Maybe we'll see you in our July 1st cohort or in August. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.